overwhelmed by the show of support and the people coming. To see a line going out the door is just such a testimony to my dad's, as everyone keeps saying, coming through the line, friendly smile, welcoming smile. And, everyone, have had so many people say that to me. And I just want to say thank you for coming out. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to my whole family. And to have the support, to be able to celebrate my dad's life like this with all the people he loved. I know he would have loved this. He'd love to see all your smiling faces. I know we're kind of taking a break here in the line. I apologize for that. I hope you guys can figure out where you were at and maybe cut and fight and make it work, whatever. I don't know. Don't be shy to rub shoulders and get in here. I thought it was kind of funny. Was it the Elvis? Oh, well, when the Elvis one gets up there, that'll be funny too. Anyways, I just wanted to share something. We had a plan of having my dad record something. He wanted to share some stuff. Unfortunately, things kind of moved faster than we thought, and that didn't happen. Can everyone hear me, by the way? Okay. Anyway, but I wanted to just share something. One of the things my dad, I think we all know my dad loved the Lord and he loved his family. And one of the things my dad loved to talk about was his testimony. It was one of his favorite stories to tell. So I thought, why not tell that real quickly? He was able to share it with me and my kids about 6 weeks ago. And so I want to just do a real quick condensed version. I think that's what he would have wanted to share with you one last time here. So, my dad would tell me that he lived multiple lives, is the way he would actually put it. He would say he had these different chapters or books that he had. And he told me that, his young adult life, when he was in his early 20s, he once told me, he said, that was the worst time of my life. But there was something that changed that, and that was the story that he told me and my kids about 6 weeks ago. And I'm sure a lot of you in the room here have heard this story or parts of this story before. My dad was hitchhiking down in southern Illinois. He was 22 years old, didn't have a job, totaled his car, didn't have any money. He was heading south looking for a job, hitchhiking. He's about to call quits for the night, curl up with a sleeping bag and go to bed. And just then a guy drove by and said, hitchhiker. And he picked my dad up. My dad got in his car. And my dad said the first thing he noticed when he got in that car is there was a big black Bible sitting on the dashboard. He said that was the first time he saw a Bible. Now the next thing that happened is the car was going away, and the driver told my dad, he's like, by the way, I want to share one thing with you real quick before we get started. He said, if the Lord comes back, I'm going to be gone. And my dad, when he tells stories, he does his little whoa, what was that? Yeah, I don't know what to think about that. What my dad would call that would be planting a seed or putting a pebble in someone's shoe. It was his way where he would saying something that would really trigger a response from someone, put something in their mind where they couldn't help but think about it and consider what it was. And that guy was able to then talk to my dad. And he talked about spiritual things. He talked about a lot of different things. And it wasn't just that he talked to my dad about spiritual things. He cared for my dad. Took him out and got him food. He walked with him. He talked with him. He spent the night in the park that night. And he showed my dad, when my dad was at rock bottom, that he cared about him. And my dad said that night, when he looked up in the stars, and he said, I knew two things. One, that Jesus was God, and two, I was in big trouble. Big trouble. He said it twice. Big trouble. And that was the start of a chain reaction of events, of strangers being kind to my dad, touch points in his life where people reached out to him as a complete stranger. Later on, another guy had found out from his sister, who had been talking to my dad about his experience with that hitchhiker. And he came up to my dad and said, hey, are you Tom? He goes, yeah. It's like, I heard about your experience with that hitchhiker, and I just wanted to come by, and I wanted to give you this. And he handed my dad a Gideon's Bible. He gave it to him. This is a complete stranger. By the way, it's interesting, my dad now, he goes to the fairs and he hands out Gideon Bibles. at the state fair in Wisconsin. And eventually he went to church with that guy, and that guy he was talking to the pastor, and the pastor asked him, he said, why do you think you're going to get to go to heaven? And he said, no, I don't think so. My dad, he said, I'm not worthy. He said, I've got a lot of problems in my life, a lot of things wrong. And the guy told my dad, he said, no one's worthy. You're only through the blood of Jesus Christ can you be worthy. It's only what he can do for you and his grace that saves you. And he says, Tom, all you got to do is believe. And it was that moment my dad said it. It went to his heart, and he said, I stood up, and I said, well, then I'm saved. That was it. And that moment changed my dad's life. And later on, my dad was actually able to get in contact with that hitchhiker because he had gotten the guy's number. He talked to that hitchhiker. He visited him. And he was down in St. Louis area. And he goes, Tom, I know a real good home Bible study over in the Chicago area where you live. You should go there. I'm going to give you this guy's number. And he gave that guy, my dad got that guy's number. He went to visit that home Bible study. And guess who was there the first time? My mom. And my dad would say, he would talk about those touch points, all of these things connecting. And it all came from strangers showing him love and kindness. And I think the reason my dad had that friendly smile and was kind and would talk to any of us for an hour, even if he was just walking down the street, or talk to somebody who was a friend of a friend but he had met once, and still ask him, how you doing? How's your job? How's your family? Was because he one time was at rock bottom and he was alone, and he wanted to be a touch point in everybody else's life. He wanted to be that person, just like that hitchhiker that picked him up when he was hitchhiking, was to him, that showed him love and compassion when he was alone. And so I admire that about my dad. I think that's where he got his compassion, and I think that's where he got his kindness from. And through the way he lived, he taught us. All of us kids, I think we can all say that, my dad, he was rooting for us all the time. He didn't just provide for us, but he participated in our lives from when we were babies to now when we're adults. And he knew us, and he knew our strengths, and he knew what we needed to be able to succeed. For me, it was teaching me the family business. For Joe, it was the farm, Lydia, the harp. We all had our things that we loved and our passions. And my dad was right there alongside us to help us in them and support us in it. He loved us. And I know he loved everyone in this room too. He was family first. I think if I could say anything about my dad, he put his family first, and he set an example for us to do the same with our families. And boy, in moments like this, when you lose someone you love, to be surrounded by your family, I can't imagine a more comforting joy. To have your Savior and your hope, and have your family by your side, and then have your family, your friends are your family, here to comfort you, to give you a hug, to reminisce on the old days. My dad had his hobbies, his joys, the business, his racquetball, and I see all these people from all different walks of life here today to pay their respects and honor him. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, and I'll speak for my mom, I'll speak for my whole family. We love you. My dad loves you, and we're so thankful to be here to celebrate his life. It's bittersweet to lose him, but he outgrew this body, is the truth. It rusted out on him, and he's going to have to just go. He's up in heaven now. He's going to get a new body, and he's going to be better off up there. And I got to think that one of the first things he did when he got up there was he found that guy who picked him up hitchhiking, right? And say, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have met Mary. I wouldn't have had those 6 kids and those 14 grandkids. What a legacy. And what a joy to share with others. So again, thank you for coming out. We're going to get the line going again here just in a second. I think Joe, no, Joe, you're done? Joe wants to get the line going. You know Joe, he runs a farm, man. He knows, that dude washes like 4,000 eggs a day. He's like, we got to get this thing going. So Joe says cut it short. Joe's going to save his for tomorrow. So now you guys got to come back tomorrow, I guess. But again, from the whole family, thank you for coming out. Thank you for honoring Tom. I'm sure he's smiling down, loving seeing everybody here. God bless.